In a bold escalation, Russia has formally withdrawn from the historic Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, citing a direct threat posed by U.S. actions, specifically President Donald Trump's decision to deploy nuclear submarines near Russian waters. The Kremlin isn't mincing words, blaming the West's aggressive posture for what it calls the collapse of nuclear stability. The INF Treaty, signed back in 1987 by Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, was a Cold War milestone. It banned all land-based nuclear missiles with ranges between 500 and 5,500 kilometers, reducing tensions in Europe and halting a dangerous arms race. But now that fragile legacy is crumbling. While the United States exited the treaty in 2019, during Trump's first term, Russia held back, declaring a self-imposed moratorium on missile deployments. They promised they wouldn't act unless Washington made the first move. Now that move has come. President Trump recently announced the deployment of 2 nuclear submarines to appropriate regions near Russia, following what he called provocative comments by Dmitry Medvedev.
We had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
And what did Medvedev say to you that made you really mad?
Well, you just have to read what he said. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
Russian Foreign Ministry warned that the evolving security environment in Europe and the Asia-Pacific has shattered the conditions needed to uphold its moratorium. The deployment of U.S. land-based medium and short-range missiles has made our restraint impossible, the ministry said. Former President Medvedev added fuel to the fire, blaming NATO's anti-Russia agenda and vowing further steps in retaliation.
In this case, it's obvious that the American submarines are already on combat duty. That's standard procedure. But generally, we'd prefer not to engage in such debates or comment on this matter. We are extremely cautious with any statements regarding nuclear issues. As you know, Russia maintains a responsible position. Naturally, we think that everyone should be very careful with the nuclear rhetoric. There can be no winner in a nuclear war. This is the main idea of our position. We don't believe the current situation is an escalation of some kind, but we recognize that are extremely complex and sensitive matters being discussed, issues that many understandably view with strong emotions. In every country, leadership members have differing professional views on current events and maintain different attitudes. There are individuals in the United States and European countries with extremely hardline positions. This is always the case. But yes, President Putin's stance remains the key factor. As you know, in our country, foreign policy is formulated by the head of state, that is, President Putin.
As for the ongoing negotiations, negotiations are always in high demand and always profoundly important, especially when it is a dedicated pursuit of peace. Overall, I view it quite positively. Well, how could one not view positively the remarkable fact that hundreds of people have successfully returned to their cherished homeland? That is a positive thing. For humanitarian reasons, as you undoubtedly know, we have conscientiously handed over thousands of bodies of fallen Ukrainian soldiers, and in return, we received several dozen of our brave guys who gave their precious lives for the motherland, their beloved homeland. As for any disappointments experienced by anyone, it is generally understood that all such feelings of disappointment invariably arise from the presence of overly ambitious or unrealistic expectations that are not met. This is a well-known general rule. But in order to effectively approach resolving this significant issue peacefully, it is absolutely necessary to have thorough and extensive discussions, and not in public, but rather, this crucial matter should be done calmly in the quiet and confidential atmosphere of the negotiation process. And it was precisely for this reason that we proposed creating the 3 groups you mentioned. Overall, the reaction from the Ukrainian side was positive. We agreed that we can conduct such negotiations without cameras and without any political noise in a calm manner and seek compromises. They have not started work. This work has not begun yet, but overall, I repeat, the initial reaction from the Ukrainian side, as it seemed to us, was positive. Therefore, we are counting on this process being successful. Yes, these conditions have certainly remained the same. These are no longer just conditions, but goals. I have articulated Russia's goal up to this point. Until then, we were told that it was unclear what Russia wanted. So we formulated them in June of last year at a meeting with the leadership of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation. Everything is clear there, but the main thing is to eradicate, to eliminate the causes that gave rise to this crisis. That is indeed the main point. And of course, there are humanitarian issues and security issues. In the broadest sense, these are all security issues. Security issues for Russia and for Ukraine as well. By the way, the Ukrainian delegation suggested that it probably makes a great deal of practical sense to discuss the security of both Russia and Ukraine within the broader context of overall European security arrangements and stability. One of the leaders of the Ukrainian delegation expressed this idea, and overall we believe this is correct and we share this view.